Hey, how we doing, guys?
Morning, everybody.
We're watching the next episode of Mad Men here.
Yeah,
Fantastic run so far, season 4. Darker vibe than it usually is on the show. It's already a dark show, but this has been way darker.
yeah. I would have to say that the last episode, the Summer Man, was one of my favorites of the series because
Oh yeah,
Don's journaling, and it's the first time he really got a vulnerable peek into his brain at all. Um, because he is a guarded man.
he is. Look, narration can be a tricky device when it comes to storytelling.
Sure.
But,
Like a noir kind of thing. Where, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
or like a Paul Schrader movie, you
Sure.
know. And I think this really had glimpses of that, you know. But it was also it was deeper than that. It was very emotional, and I like that Don is, he's getting fit.
Right.
He's getting sober, more importantly, and he's trying finally. Like he's actually starting to try again.
He is. We're about halfway through the run of the show, I think. About halfway through season
Yeah,
4.
I think we got 5
7.
episodes left this
Right.
season.
I would say the odds that this works to a full extent, are about 0%, though.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty reasonable. He's trying to self heal,
Mhm.
which some people could do and some people can't. But Don has been hardwired, right, in ways to run away.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He is a runner.
It's all he's ever
When
done.
things get tough, it's all he's ever done.
Well,
And I don't know that he can just turn that off because he's not drinking. I mean, there are small fixes he can do, right? He can blow stuff up in his life less by not drinking. He can get healthier. He can be less promiscuous, as we saw in that episode. He can do all of those little things, but I don't think he's going to be able to fundamentally change the big broken things in himself.
Well, yeah, somebody on Patreon, they asked if we think that Don is going to stay this way, and I said I think it's a bit of both. I think that he's Don Draper. He's the runner, obviously.
Right.
As far as him getting his eye back on the ball, that could stick. Him being on top and being the man again could be a thing, but the womanizing, the drinking, the running away, I don't expect that to go away anytime soon.
Right.
But he's been very sloppy at the office. I think if he can get his ducks in a row, if he can really get in a better position for himself, I think that he can be the Don Draper we know and love and still have, so much success.
Right. Yeah.
But not changing the character.
I agree. I think the odds of him fixing his work life are way better than him fixing his personal life.
That's kind of what
I do like the fact that he actually went on a real date with somebody who matches him well in terms of
age,
not just age, but maturity,
Sure.
Professional accomplishment, intellect. In that, and I know that those things that seems petty, like, oh, you got to date someone your own age. You don't. Oh, you got to date somebody who's
Sure.
educated or intelligent. No, you don't. But for somebody like Don, he specifically needs somebody that's not going to be at a disadvantage.
Betty 2.0.
Right. Who's going to feel like they're at a disadvantage to him in the relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where he has all the power and all the control, which means we know what happens when he's in that position, right?
Yeah.
We saw it with Betty when he feels like he's the breadwinner, he's the man, and she's the stay-at-home mom, and he's the accomplished one. Then he can get away with doing whatever horrible thing he wants to get away with. And I think there are people that can have that imbalance for sure, but not him, right? Right? Yeah, there are plenty. Yeah, there are plenty of relationships that work just fine where one person works or makes most of the money and one doesn't, or one person's older, or younger, healthier, or whatever, and they work just fine. Don isn't that guy though. Don needs someone that can call him on what Don is.
Well, it's not the girl that he was seeing. The younger girl who Betty came in and saw him with.
Right. The young blonde woman is like 25. Right.
Look like Betty. As a lot of you guys pointed out, that's kind of why Betty was a little mad when she showed up.
Yeah,
there's a younger version of herself.
It's a Betty 2.0. It's just a younger Betty.
Right? Yes, and I think the therapist. One, her being a therapist is good for him, but two, it's also like you said, she's mature enough to handle Don, and I think he needs to be mature enough to handle her.
Sure, because even Betty was way younger than Don
at the time. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, she still is.
She still is. Right. They're both adults now. And they have kids.
Right. Sure. But but when they got married and everything, I think she's like 10 years younger than him. I think they've said that she's a lot younger than he is.
Yeah.
I think that this relationship, a relationship's not going to fix Don Draper, but if there's one that's healthier for him than some of the others that he's been in, this seems like a good fit.
Which, this being the show that it is, doubt it less.
I don't see Don married to this poor woman at the end of season 7.
I don't either,
and I don't see her being the one. Well, maybe she might just realize that, oh my God, this, there's the there's the Don Draper that everyone has kind of idealized, and getting to know the real thing might be like, oh my god, this guy's just kind of a drunken lout who doesn't spend enough time with his kid.
I know.
And doesn't clean his own house.
No, he cleaned the last episode, so we'll see.
We do want to welcome a few new Patreon subscribers for the last day or so, guys. So, Joseph Smith, Coma, and The Dave Abides. Welcome, guys. We're glad you're here with us.
We really are. If you guys are watching us on YouTube for the first time, welcome back.
Hello.
If you don't mind hitting the like button for us, leave us a comment down below, and please hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on the new content we have coming your way.
Yeah, if you want to see a full-length reaction to this episode of Mad Men and everything else we've watched or are currently watching, please check out a link in the description below to our Patreon page, where you find all sorts of stuff there, including full runs of shows we've gone all the way through. Yeah. Yes, it's her.
Is it broken?
The lamp?
That's funny, yeah.
What are you doing in August?
I'm not sure.
Well, what are you doing this afternoon?
The same thing I do every afternoon, working.
Joni! Jesus, I'm sorry!
Her husband got called up. He's going to Vietnam right after basic.
Vietnam. That's not good.
Peggy, your boyfriend's here.
Satisfaction guaranteed. Why are you here? Thought we could get a drink,
good.
shoot the ball. Sure.
Well, I was gonna stop by your office, but I didn't want to get you in trouble. Then I thought about finding out where you live, but that's weird.
Yes,
So,
it is.
anyway.
Good call.
Yeah.
May I help you?
Are you John Harris?
I am.
We're from Madame Ingas. You are to receive massage, manicure, and pedicure. It's a gift from a friend. Tip included.
What friend?
I'm not allowed to say this.
It's Roger. He feels bad for how he acted today.
They could overturn everything. It's an illusion that America's so organized and it could never happen over here.
I don't see Peggy successfully dating a hippie.
What am I talking to you about corporations for? You must deal with them all the time.
I guess. Fillmore Auto Parts, Sugarberry Ham.
Fillmore Auto Parts is worse than a corporation, what with the boycott and all.
What boycott?
The southern stores won't hire Negroes.
Doesn't seem like them.
I'm sure they're perfectly nice for racists, you know, and I mean, obviously your company has an investment in looking the other way.
In advertising, we don't really judge people. We try and help them out of these situations. Certainly we would try and stop this. If it's true, it's not good for their business.
Well, civil rights isn't a situation to be fixed with some PR campaign. It's an inequality that the world has its eyes on.
It's true.
I know. Most of the things Negroes can't do, I can't do either. And nobody seems to care. Half of the meetings take place over golf, tennis, and a bunch of clubs where I'm not allowed to be a member or even enter.
There's no Negro copywriters, you know.
I'm sure they could fight their way in like I did.
All right, Peggy, we'll have a civil rights march for women.
Oh, man, that's not a right thing to say, man.
Good morning, and thank you.
For what?
That was very thoughtful.
I knew I was rubbing you the wrong way. So I thought, why not have someone rub you the right way? Let me get you a meal.
Of course. I forgot for a second that you're incapable of doing something nice without expecting something nicer in return.
Just thought you could use a night out.
Thank you, I'm fine.
Good.
Yeah, he went there. He did.
I wrote something. Well, I kind of wrote it for you. And I would love it if you read it.
What is this?
It's what I was trying to say last night, but without, I don't know, my
It's nice
abrasive
you wore a
tone.
tie and
Read it.
everything.
Yeah, this.
Right now in front of you?
No, take your time. I'll wait over here.
We need more than mechanics to survive. You ever hear of Sears? They'll kill us.
We agreed we all had to agree.
Don't we have enough problems with the boycott?
What if there were a way to market to both groups? Fillmore Auto Parts, where the pros go, and everyone's welcome.
It's a little corny.
It's great, and you know it.
Pros go, or I can do everyone's welcome, but not both.
Sure you can.
Ken's not a creative.
You'll have to excuse me for a moment. Continue, please.
You went wrong now.
I wanted to see you.
I am so sorry. Who are you?
I found her on the train between carriages, trying to avoid the conductor.
I didn't have enough money.
Oh,
Megan,
Sally.
could you take her to my office?
I wanted to see you, and I didn't want to wait 2 weekends.
Well, you can't do this. This is very serious.
Carla was supposed to pick her up after the doctor.
How the hell did this happen?
Dr. Keener thought it would be good for her to walk from camp to her appointment by herself. She needs to learn responsibility.
You need to learn responsibility. Now come get her. I've got a business to run here.
Because it's so easy. It's so much fun to take care of her. I'm meeting Henry in the city tomorrow night. I'll get her then.
Everyone knows who represents Fillmore Auto Parts. We're the agency of record.
But I was defending you. We have a religion in this country, and it's business. You're not a priest. You're just another congregant. Why should someone nice like you have to do this? Why should you have to be a part of that corruption? It's a waste of yours and a million other artists' gifts.
If you publish this, I'll lose my job. I'm not a political person. I don't have to defend myself.
You inspired me. I wrote this for you. I guess I read you wrong.
Blankenship.
Did she die?
Caroline.
Oh my God.
Oh God, Caroline.
What happened?
What do you mean? What happened? She just
What about them?
finished
I'll
the
attend to
meeting.
this.
Sally's in there.
Why? She's visiting.
Long story. Oh my God.
Megan, get a man, and we'll need a blanket.
Mechanics. We can actually attract men of all types. So it's something like Fillmore Auto Parts for the mechanic and every man.
Oh my God.
My daughter's in my office.
What?
She decided to run away today.
Sally?
I'd really appreciate it if you could go in my bag, get my keys, take her to my apartment, and just sit with her.
You all right?
Oh, damn it. I don't want to die in this office. I almost have twice.
Stop it.
If it looks like I'm going, open a window, I'd rather flatten the top of a cab. I'm gonna go to my favorite restaurant and have a glass of cyanide. Or you could join me.
I don't know.
Really?
Look, I know it's tough, but you must have known about the possibilities when he signed up.
I wasn't consulted.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Did you listen to my memoirs?
I just have them transcribed and recycle the tapes.
And you're not a little curious if there's a chapter called Joan?
There better not be.
And every time I think back, all the good stuff was with you. And I'm sorry to keep pestering you. I don't expect anything to happen.
I appreciate that.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, I'm still mad at you.
Are you going to marry Faye?
What? No.
Is she your girlfriend?
Look, I do like her, but we just work together and I talk about you a lot.
That's a good
You like
answer.
her?
Yeah.
She seems nice.
Do you know what time it is?
I do.
He's about to get mugged, isn't he? Yeah.
You know what to do?
My ring.
Stop it. Everything can be replaced. You're fine.
Oh, Joan was the aggressor on that. Wow.
I made French toast.
You know, I don't like you using the stove.
Oh, Daddy, I do it all the time. And there's no shells in it.
What's on this?
Mrs. Butterworth's.
That's rum. Read labels. I'm gonna call in, move everything to noon, and we're gonna go to the Central Park Zoo.
And the dinosaur museum?
One or the other.
It was in the heat of the moment. And there was a moment. You know that.
You better buy her a new ring, dude.
I'm not sorry. But I'm married.
Well, why are we doing business with someone who doesn't hire Negroes?
Our job is to make men like Fillmore Auto, not Fillmore Auto like Negroes. Your mother's gonna be downstairs in a minute. Get your things.
I want to stay.
Well, you can't.
I want to stay, and I don't know why I can't. No, I'm not going anywhere. Stop it.
You want me to carry you out of here?
I'm not going. I'm not leaving. I hate it there.
Can you talk to her?
What?
No,
Please,
talk
I
to
can't
her.
bring her back kicking and screaming to
You
her
talk
mother.
to her.
Sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do.
Shut up.
What's gotten into you?
Oh,
I
whoa.
don't think I'm helping here.
We don't want your help.
Oh, no. Oh, this is rough. This is so sad.
All right.
No, it's not.
Oh.
I was waiting in the lobby at 5.
We lost track of time.
Well, now I'm late.
Sally?
Say goodbye to your father.
Goodbye.
No,
Can
apologize.
you make me one of those?
Let you do it
No.
yourself. Yeah,
You shouldn't have put me in that position.
I agree. Yes.
Things happen. I didn't plan it.
You asked me to go watch her.
There was no one else to do it.
And just now? What the hell was that?
Yeah.
Well, it feels like there was a test and I failed it.
Oh, that's not it.
I'm sorry.
I love children, but I chose to be where I am. I don't view it as a failure.
He seems so nice.
He's a man. He won't be happy till he turns you out.
What's that supposed to mean?
You gotta be their girl. It's the way they want it. It's like men are this vegetable soup, and you can't put them on a plate or eat them off the counter. So women are the pot. They heat them up, they hold them, they contain them. I wouldn't have helped Abe out if I didn't think he was some very interesting soup.
That's good.
I love the women of the show so much.
I do too.
Like, they're all so well written, and they have to put up with all these man babies there, you know?
Look at all three of these girls are like, I hate men.
yeah, truly, yeah. Okay, we now, as always with these shows, the title of the episode reveals itself.
Of course.
Towards the end of the episode.
Right.
This was a brilliant episode. Honestly, the last 3 or 4 episodes have been so strong.
It's been on a roll. This show's really been on a roll.
We've said that more than the last 3 episodes. I feel like it's been
this season. That's really
7.
It's been a good show from the moment it started, but I feel like this season's.
I have goosebumps.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
really hit its stride.
Oh God. Okay, so we got to get into the whole Betty thing. The whole episode we were saying like we want to see Betty, her reaction, because we think she's gonna be a monster.
I thought she was okay
until she said, "Now I'm late."
Yeah, I felt like that was like she just can't hold it back. I think Betty's been better since she's gotten away from Dawn. I really do. Like season 3,
No, truly, she has
season 3. I really did not like Betty.
Yeah,
I did 1 and 2. Season 3, I was like,
we were singing her praises in 1 and 2.
We
3,
were.
She went off the rails,
and I feel like she's been a lot better this season. I thought last episode was a really strong point for her, right?
Praises then too.
Yep, because she had to process Dawn being free to do whatever Dawn wants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Dawn kind of imploded her life a little bit.
And kudos to Henry, it took him to point that out.
Right. Exactly. And she had to kind of work through the fact that, wow, Dawn gets to be a dad when he wants to be a dad, and he gets to be a wild, free playboy and he wants to do that. Then I'm the one spending all the time with the kids. They're her responsibility 90% of the time. Yeah. I really understand that impulse. It's just the way the world is shaped. As a mother, she has to be the responsible one.
Truly.
But when we got to the she picked the wrong point to take a stand on it, I feel like, in this episode.
Yeah.
Because what happens with her daughter runs away, she gets to where Dawn works, and Dawn's in meetings all day. Dawn is like, I'm busy, I'm at work, come get her. And she's like, you deal with it, I'll see you tomorrow. I feel like there are times to take a stand.
Yeah.
Because she's not wrong that she always has to be the responsible one with the kids, right?
She wants to dump them on Dawn. That's
which is totally fine because Dawn gets away without having to be a dad most of the time.
Yeah.
So her impulse is right, but that moment of like your daughter ran away, she's in an office with her father who is definitely not going to be taking care of her because he's going to be he has to do other things, and you're sitting at home literally doing nothing.
Yeah.
I get the frustration with you having to come deal with this, and Dawn can't. I really do. But it's not like Dawn was out dating again this time, or on a bender.
His secretary died.
Right.
You know, I mean, like,
he's at work.
He's dealing with a lot.
He's dealing with a lot. He can't be like the custodial parent in that moment. He can't. So that's a moment where she should have said, "I hate you. You're a terrible father. You're a terrible ex-husband. You were a terrible husband. All of this is fair. I will come get her.
I'm on the way. Yeah,
I'm on the way, but I want you to know you suck, and you need to start being more of an involved father in your daughter's life."
That's fair.
That would have been fair, but that's
communication.
But that's not what she did. It's I don't care. You deal with it.
I know,
and I wash my hands of it. You know, I'm here. She said more than once throughout the run of the show, "You don't know what it's like. I'm here all alone with them. I'm stuck with them."
I get that too.
I get that impulse, but at the same time, it's like
they're your children.
They are, and when Dawn's stuck with them, Dawn is no better, really. In that regard, because the night that they spent the weekend with him, and he went on a date and got a babysitter and all, and it's like, what are you doing, man? You see your kids every other weekend.
It was like peak alcohol Dawn, though. Like
that was peak alcohol Dawn for sure.
Dawn.
Right. He sucked for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't see Betty's like I get the impulse to like say in the grand context of how women are, especially women like Betty, who are basically raised to be wives, right? To be mothers. She comes from her incredible privilege, and I look at her compared to like Joan or Peggy, or even the doctor whose name I'm forgetting again.
I know, why do we
The
forget?
three of them in the elevator, right?
Beautiful
When
moment.
when you look at Betty versus those three, and it's like Betty is just not on the same level as a person. I feel like as those three people.
I agree with you. And there was I don't know if whenever they all were there for when Sally fell, but they also followed her out in the lobby,
which I thought was weird. Like I don't know what they were expecting there.
So that's what I want to get into. Was that a look of disdain on their faces for her? Because they know. I mean, like Dawn's not open about this kind of stuff, but they have to know like there's something going on here.
I felt like every woman that was in that shot from Dawn's office all the way to the front where Betty was came up to see who is this monster that this girl
is running away
from. It seems like, and maybe it's a time period expectation, thing of being the 60s.
Yeah.
But the idea of this daughter is straightly refusing to be with her mom seems like it goes against the cultural expectation of daughters and mothers. You know what I mean? It's like your mom's here. You think it'd be like, oh, mom. And instead you're getting like, I'm refusing to go. You don't know what it's like there. And, she throws herself down on the ground. She's,
scared.
She's losing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
she'd rather be
I
there.
think everyone would have to see like, who is this person?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the look on Joan's face was honestly
concern.
It was haunting.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
That was fantastic acting. One, but two, like she sold like concern and disdain so well. And the moment that really got me is the receptionist whenever she grabs
Megan.
her,
Megan,
she holds her, and then she even gets a little choked up by it. It's almost like these women can kind of relate to Sally. Like they understand the roles they've been raised to live in. You know what I mean? And it's truly haunting. Like,
and
it really is.
I don't know to what extent you can say like, well, Betty had a rough childhood too. She's hinted that her mom was pretty awful.
No, she has. She's talked about it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I also feel like every horrible thing she says about her mom, like she was obsessed with weight. She was obsessed with looks. She was obsessed with she 100% is doing exactly the same thing to Sally, right?
Yeah.
When she slapped her for cutting her hair, it was all about now what you look like.
Yeah.
She was worried about her. Wasn't it one time she was worried about her face? Oh, the car accident.
Yeah.
Right? When Betty wrecked the car because her hands were trembling.
Yeah.
And she was like, I was just really scared that she was going to have to grow up with a messed up face and try to live in the world like that.
Yeah, that was it was a throwaway line, but I think we were both like, whoa.
It definitely stuck with us for sure. I see how Betty's been victimized by her parents and then by Dawn. I really do. She's
by Dawn too. Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
It's like Ibsen's A Doll's House. Right. She's in a world where she can't possibly win. She really is.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have to sympathize with her in that regard. But how she is to her children, and especially Sally, is on her.
Just the lack of concern drove me nuts too. Whenever Dawn calls her and says, "Hey, she's here," and she's not like, "What?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she's like. She seems so unbothered by the fact that her daughter is not where she thought she was.
Well, I agree. But still. But Dawn kind of blamed her for this, and I don't know if you can say it's her fault. It's not Betty's fault.
It's not either one of their faults.
Right. Dawn shouldn't have accused her, but they fell into old patterns, and Dawn blamed her because he's being inconvenienced like this, and Betty immediately got defensive, and don't you yell at me, and you try raising him, and now I'm not even going to show up at all.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's pettiness.
God, I know. It's like, can you take 1 second to put the welfare of your daughter before you're fighting with your ex? 1 second.
But look, so Dawn gets ripped at the office a lot, obviously,
right,
behind his back.
Sure.
I like how that's not the case in this episode too. Like I mentioned it a few minutes ago, but like I like how like you had that shot in the background, all the women standing there. It's like they stood behind him, and I liked there was it felt like a certain level of support.
Sure.
And I really loved that moment. I just really wish, like, I don't want to give Don too much credit because he should have said these things to Sally himself. He shouldn't have grabbed the therapist's name. He should have said these things to her.
Take 30 seconds and tell your daughter you're sorry, you love her, and you'll try to spend more time with her, and then actually do it. That's it.
But even just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Just what's going on at home?
Sure. Any number of things. Take the 30 seconds that you spent trying to get someone else to come in and solve the problem for you. Don really blew that moment. He really did.
He did.
But at the same time, I'm kind of curious too why Sally is 1000% antagonistic of going home with Betty.
I mean, I get it. She's getting slapped in the face for cutting her hair. She was in a closet that one episode.
Well, and it's not even the fact that she slapped her. she lost her temper, she slapped her, that's fine. Maybe it's a one-time thing. But I didn't see any contrition about it. I don't think she felt bad about slapping her in the face for cutting her hair. Like, if that moment happened, it certainly didn't happen while we were watching.
So, literally, we see why Sally doesn't want to be home. Her mother's a monster. Like,
she is to her. Yeah, she is.
She misses her father. She's, obviously she's a young kid. The divorce is being hard on her. I mean, it's interesting we're not seeing Bobby's perspective. I think the implication is that Bobby's just...
He's young enough that he doesn't know yet.
And maybe he's a little tougher, because we see, every time we see Bobby, he's just got dirt on him.
He's like, whatever.
He's a rough kid. Yeah, he's going. With Sally, she is going through it, man.
Yeah.
So,
I think she's going through it in a way that Betty probably went through it too. So I sympathize with Sally 100%, but you also have to remember that Betty went through the same crap to get where she is. These things are cyclical, right?
Yeah.
Largely.
But we can hope that Sally has a different life going forward, because obviously it's the 60s. Things are changing. She'll have better opportunities, that ones that her mother didn't have, certainly.
Yeah. It's also really hard to, we were talking about the opportunities and everything. It's like, well,
it's only the 60s.
Keep in mind also that, and I don't, obviously nobody's free from criticism here, but I mean, Betty is 100% a privileged debutante baby all the way through, right?
Yes, she's like much more privileged. And
that's what I'm saying. And you sit and be like, wow, I really think we have stronger characters in Joan, in Peggy, and some of these other women at work. I was like, well, because these women have to work.
They didn't have.
They didn't grow up like that. Dawn didn't grow up like that.
Oh, no.
Our spoiled babies on the show are pretty much Roger and Betty, and both of them you're like, you're acting like in this episode, both of them were like, what is wrong with you right now? Yeah. And I think the idea of what we're seeing, like in Mad Men is the show of America, in Chasing the American Dream, growing up spoiled and rich doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be the person that you should be coming out of that.
Exactly, and other shows have done it well too. I mean, Succession is that
right? It is exactly right. It is. That's who Betty and Roger are, is like the
Roy children,
right? The aristocracy nepo babies that kind of have been handed everything, and we're seeing that that's damaging, right? We're seeing that Betty didn't have a choice to leave Dawn.
Not only that, what is that stem? Nothing of value. I mean, like you see it time and time again on Succession, on this show. Roger can't do anything. He doesn't have a creative thought in his head because he hasn't had to fight to work for anything.
He hasn't. It's and what and you have to, again, the flip side of that is, what are Betty's choices really? Because she hasn't been brought up to survive without a rich husband.
Look, if on the show they want Betty, they write Betty's character like where she's wanting to pursue a career, or she's wanting to actually contribute something, I'd be all for it. I'd be like, heck yeah, Betty, let's do it. You want to do something? Do you want to start a company? Do you want to, I don't know, do you want to start a business? Do you want to do anything at all?
Yeah, but I just think in the time period, I think the whole point of it is it's not, she can't. It's not realistic that Betty's going to be like, I'm going to go start my own cab company. But what I mean?
Even when she was racing horses, she had that.
She had something, but
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking out of school here, but I just, I find her character to be quite frustrating sometimes.
Sometimes she really is, and sometimes she's great. Like most of the time this season, she's been just fine.
But when the kids are suffering now, obviously, Sally, it's tough, man.
It's tough. Well, like, she says she doesn't want to move out of the house because the kids need stability. How about you spend 3 minutes talking to Sally, who wants desperately to get out of that house?
Yeah. Quit putting your hands on your kid and talk to them.
How about you actually find out where your kids are? You can speak to one of them. It's like when she went to the child psychologist to talk about bringing Sally, and the psychologist like, I think you need to talk to somebody too.
That was a great episode because they both did. Don ended up talking to the woman he's sleeping with now. And obviously, Betty did too. So that was a great episode as well.
Yeah, both of them have a long way to go as far as being complete people. But we'll see you in the next one, guys.